Hey, greetings good people and welcome to another episode of MOSHBITS. Before I begin, I'd like you to know that we're running a sponsored quiz this week on Crowd where you can win a Nokia 8.3 phone if you happen to get 10 answers right. Trust me, it's not a lot and the quiz is quite easy even if you're not a techie, so come on over, bring some friends and maybe tell us what you think about it in our Crowd Discord server where we happen to talk a lot about tech every single day. And now, let's get back to the news. So Zen 3 is now out, and by out I also mean that it's out of stock as far as I know. I can say that availability didn't look great, especially here in Germany, but Mine Factory had about 900 to 5600 X's before I actually saw them absolutely vanish from their page. I don't know what other words to use to describe it. But what I can tell you is that AMD's claims so far have been quite accurate, especially with the overall 19% IPC improvements and solid gaming performance against Intel. Prices, as you know, are still higher than on last gen CPUs, but you also do get that extra bit of performance, cheaper motherboards than compared to Intel in this case, and if you're looking to snag an RX 6000 Big Navi card, then you're going to get just that extra bit of performance you are looking for through smart access memory and rage mode. Now, of course, I won't bother you too much with reviews of the Zen 3 CPUs because you can find an entire roundup in the video description. And of course, I don't have my Zen 3 CPU because I didn't even bother ordering one because I'm still using an 8700K. So, you know, let's move on. Remember how in my previous episodes I did talk about how there were far too many reference designs for the RX 6000 series cards? And how I also said that this kind of makes me think that availability might not be that great? Well, apparently that might just be the case because VCCF Tech reports from ASUS and AMD subreddit that availability for the new Big Navi cards, including the 6800 XT, might be similar to that of NVIDIA's 30 series cards, with cards going out of stock in mere minutes. And I saw that said mere minutes. I don't know, especially here in Germany they were out in a few seconds. But either way, that's neither here nor there. More concerning is that custom cards will take 1 to 2 weeks to go on sale, which would push the launch closer to December for those instead of the 18th of November. Remember that in December, the only card that was supposed to launch was the 6900 XT, so their top of the line card. But this is really weird, and I swear that this year has been quite weird for PC hardware in general. Great launches, but also horrible availability. 2020 has been a weird one for all of us, and not only for PC hardware enthusiasts and what have you, I really have to admit, and it's far from being over at this point. It sure looks like it for me. But let's get back to RYZEN and telling you about what Rob Hallock, AMD's Director of Technical Marketing, has done. I mean, pretty much he has gone ham on Twitter, Reddit and their own forums talking about the new Zen 3 CPUs. He talked about the upcoming AGISA updates and how it will benefit pretty much everyone with those new chips, tweaking performance on Windows 10, the best RAM configurations, and of course best is with some big air quotes in this case because you never know what's the best configuration for your CPU. Either way, precision boost overclocking. I mean, it's pretty precious at this point as well. Now, we've also seen a breakdown of what voltages we should expect at each stages, and it's been a pretty cool breakdown for new users. And he also showed us what temperatures mean at different stages and when we should get worried, so to speak, in this case. Now, like I said, this is really great for new PC users or people who are looking into building a new computer, or like whenever they're like, why is my CPU running at 60 degrees? Is this normal? Is it okay to run at 1.5 volts? You know, I've seen this happen, I think 1 or 2 generations ago, and I have received quite a few messages from people for whom I build PCs for. So I think now being able to link back to this video or those things from Rob Hallock is pretty useful. Okay, so I decided to cut some of the things that I said in this whole ramble about what Rob Hallock has said. Either way, if you want to read what exactly he has said, you can go in the video description, and you'll find a link to his Twitter where he discussed about all those things. Either way, I think now it's time to talk about AMD yet again and their epic win. This is how I titled this one. And I mean, maybe in the consumer space, Intel will actually be able to make up some advantage that AMD has gained with Zen 3, but I sure hope they're trying their best to fight against AMD's upcoming Epic Milan CPU. Because if rumors are to be believed, this one is going to be faster than 4 Intel Xeons combined, which is absolutely nuts. To put things in perspective, this is not only outperforming quad Intel Xeon Platinums, but also dual Epic Rome CPU configurations, which run at 3.4 GHz compared to only 2.45 GHz as we've seen on this one. It sure keeps looking like AMD is doing some black magic around here, and I hope they're going to be able to keep up the flow with releasing those amazing products, because there is no better way to describe them. And I think now it's time to stop talking about AMD so much before I get called an AMD shill. And let's go to Team Green's camp, and let me quickly tell you that some of the custom designs have been for the RTX 3060 Ti and 3060, because I forgot to say which ones they are, have been spotted at EEC listings, and there's not much I can tell you about them other than, hey, there you go, look at them. Do you like them? You're probably not going to be able to get your hands on them if they're not going to have enough stocks, like they didn't have that with the other graphics cards. So let's move on and talk about PS5 reviews that are now also out. Like I said, the embargo has lifted, and with a bit of luck, the performance of this video that I'm shooting and going to post on YouTube a bit later, or like when you're seeing it right now, won't absolutely tank. Either way, I was able to watch 2 or 3 reviews, but I can recommend this one clip from Dave2D, where you also learn about customizing your PS5, which I guess it's something that is going to be really trendy in about a week from now when this launches. And I actually think he did an awesome job with the paint job and also with his review. And what I also found awesome is PS5's game presets mode, which allows you to auto-magically apply your preferred settings, including performance, resolution mode, difficulty, trigger between first person or third person view, subtitles, audio, pretty much everything you'd want to have whenever you start a new game. And I find it really funny how those new consoles, including with this new feature, are basically proof of our outrageously low attention spans. I don't know. It sure seems like it. Either way, I'll need to get myself up to speed with those new consoles before I can talk more about them. So let's talk about PCIe Gen 6 specifications. Yes, my friends, we are heading towards PCIe Gen 6, whilst Intel is still stuck on PCIe Gen 3 and AMD blessed us with PCIe Gen 4. This is not entirely news. I mean, we already knew of those things since the beginning of the year, more or less. But this does come as a confirmation from the PCIe SIG organization that PCIe Gen 6 is still on track for a 2021 release, and trust me, that was pretty difficult to say. Now, it's worth noting that AMD is probably going to start supporting PCIe Gen 5 starting 2022, so that's 2 years from now, with their Zen 4 CPUs, and the same goes for DDR5 RAM. This is all exciting news, considering that PCIe Gen 6 is 2 times faster than PCIe Gen 5 and 4 times faster than PCIe Gen 4. That worked out pretty well. But until we get some proper use cases for us gamers for those speeds, I think we can just be happy with what we have on AMD and what we're going to get from Intel, because like I said, they're not on Gen 4 yet, but their next generation of CPUs will support that. But I'm generally more excited for DDR5 to come out, because this means that DDR4 prices will actually go down. And oh man, as someone who has spent so much money on DDR4 about 2 years ago, I think, when the mining craze started, I cannot be happier. And really quick to the end of this episode, I'd like to point out that Kioxia and Samsung are both introducing some amazing products to the market, but you and me as consumers might not actually be able to get our hands on them, even for testing, if at all. So the Never Die SSD from Samsung makes it so that you won't lose your entire drive full of anime and, I don't know, whatever you store in it. I just decided to say that you store anime on your drives, but rather in the event of a failure, you wouldn't lose all of your data like I was saying. Instead, this data would be moved and your drive would continue to operate at its usual high performance levels. What Kioxia is doing is they're introducing some new NVMe drives to the market, and this time around they're using the E1.S form factor, which is smaller than the normal M.2 SSDs. Those new drives use up to 15 watts of power and have features that prevent it from losing data in case of power losses, and a ton more useful features such as a full end-to-end data path protection and security options that will make it perfect for data centers. Aside from that, the drive has 6.5 gigabytes per second read speeds and 2.4 gigabytes write speeds, which is pretty great to be fair. And let's just see how fast I can end this episode. Check me out on Twitter and visit outcrowd.com, and don't forget about our quiz because you really want to get your hands on this phone, trust me. And do make sure to check out all the original articles if you're interested. Those will be in the video description. This has been Alice with the Red Elk, signing off. Bye.